Welcome Entourage for your favorite video of the week. Buy, sell, hold for week 7. Got some interesting names in this video, as you're probably wondering who's the buy, who's the sold, and who's the hold on the thumbnail. So we're going to get into that. Before we do, if you guys are interested in my premium content, remember I slashed it 50% off now. $10, 4 emails a week for the rest of the season. That includes waiver wire and hidden gems on Tuesdays. Today, you will be getting not just the 3 names on each category for the buy, sell, holds with my complete trade list. And then we got the rankings coming out tomorrow with the updated version on Saturday after all the practice reports are done. Well, guys, let's get into it. The fantasy football Entourage are winning. So, what's up, guys? I feel like things are going to start turning around. Like, a lot of guys coming back from injury. A.J. Brown, Chris Godwin, Kenny Galladay, DJ Shark didn't re-injure or further injure himself. Just a lot of, I'm liking what Jonathan Taylor is doing. Some of these guys I think still have a lot of upside, like Antonio Gibson, and yeah, so I'm interested to see what second half brings us. Carson Wentz too has also been heating up. Justin Herbert, a lot of the guys that I've been touting. Deontay Johnson's back in practice, so if you guys been paying attention to the last couple of episodes, I think a lot of you guys are gonna begin to really reap the benefits. If you picked up some of these names that I mentioned and then sold off some of these other players, okay? Well, as always, we're going to start with our buys. And my first buy is Josh Allen. Yeah, I don't usually put a lot of quarterbacks and tight ends. As you guys know, I focus a lot on the running back position and receivers. But in the case of Josh Allen, you win with elite players, what I call home run hitters. And he's shown the first couple of weeks that he's definitely a home run hitter, several 30-point games. And, that's hard to do in the National Football League, no matter who the opponent is. And here's why I have him as a buy, though, because he's coming off 2 subpar games, right? Didn't look the best. But even in those subpar games, he still gave you 20 points in Week 5 against Tennessee and 19 points against the Chiefs. Outside of Derek Carr, nobody has done much against the Chiefs' pass defense, including Lamar Jackson, who couldn't even throw for 100 yards on them. So the fact that he was still able to get you 19 points, still threw for 2 touchdowns, even though he threw a pedestrian like 122 yards, but he did have 42 yards on the ground as well. So if that's the very, very worst, imagine what we don't have to imagine. We've seen the upside. Compare that to a player like Aaron Rodgers, whose very worst was 3 points. You get what I'm saying? So I think there's owners. I mean, Josh Allen, there's certain players that the fantasy community just doesn't like. And I was one of the few people that was telling you guys, draft Josh Allen, draft Josh Allen. I got him for $11 in an auction league. So I still don't think people are quite sold on Josh Allen. So I think this is a great buying opportunity to get a good quarterback, because quarterbacks are not usually that expensive in a trade anyway. And then you add that with the name Josh Allen that a lot of people are skeptical about. And then you add that with him coming off 2 subpar games, which weren't even really subpar games, just subpar games compared to what he was doing the first couple of weeks. So that's why Josh Allen is my first buy. Okay. My second buy is actually somebody I bought yesterday in our followers league. Lamar Jackson. I traded away Lamar Jackson, who I had on my sell list a couple of weeks ago. And I traded him for CeeDee Lamb. Now, if you just look at from the outside looking, and I'm going to do a video explaining this to show you guys the dynamic of trading. And sometimes, you could lose a trade and still win if it improves your team. And a lot of times I'll do trades like this. So, yeah, from a box, it's a bad trade, trading CeeDee Lamb for Lamar Jackson. But this particular league, we're down. We're 1-5. We must win this week. Lamar Jackson's on a bye. We got Justin Herbert as the backup. So, but like I said, I'll do a whole video explaining the dynamic on that. But regardless, CeeDee Lamb is a buy. You probably don't have to trade Lamar Jackson for him either. I think a lot of people are going to be skeptical about Lamb because Andy Dalton's his quarterback. His last game was okay, 13 points. It's not bad, but it wasn't, anything to write home about either. But just looking at the tape, seeing how talented this man really is, he was still second on the team in targets with 10. Zeke surprisingly led with 11, so he was tied for second with Amari Cooper, and he's always going to be. Give me 1 second, guys. Hold on. Okay, sorry about that. So, yeah, he's always going to be against the team's weakest corner. And when you take a player like that, who's kind of built like a wide receiver one, they compare him to DeAndre Hopkins, then, yeah, he's definitely somebody you want to buy. Plus, Cowboys defense isn't getting better anytime soon. So, I would definitely buy. He's going to have a ton of targets. He's going to have a ton of opportunities. Super talented. Imagine if somebody like Gallup or Amari Cooper gets injured as well, then he's even going to get more targets, more opportunities. So I definitely see CeeDee Lamb as somebody that you want to buy. Talent over everything, right? And then my last buy is Kenny Galladay. Kenny Galladay, been relatively quiet, even though he hasn't really been that quiet because his first 3 games back from injury from a hamstring that tends to, could linger, re-injure. But he's got 17 points, 16 points, and 14 points. He's either had a touchdown or 100-yard games in every game he's played. And I think he is going to be due for a massive breakout because the game flow really hasn't been there for him. 2 of those games are kind of close, and then the other one was just a plain, demolishing of the Jags. So they really need to pass that much because the Jags are so bad at stopping the run. So I really like Kenny Galladay as somebody to buy low. Not getting a ton of targets. I think that'll pick up. He has never been a big target guy, but his depth of targets, what do you have, like 104 yards on like 4 catches or something like that? So he is a big play guy. He's a red zone guy with his size in his hands, and somebody that I recommend buying low because he is a top 5 receiver in my opinion. He is elite, and you probably don't have to play elite prices for a receiver who has yet to hit the 20-point mark. But I believe he'll have quite a few more of those games coming his way. So that's why Kenny Galladay is my last buy. All right, now for my sell list, Drake. I think a lot of owners were waiting for this opportunity. What do you have, like 28 points in PPR? But let's break it down a little further, okay? It was A, the Dallas Cowboys. B, Kyler Murray ran the ball almost to the pretty much like the half-inch, 1-yard line, whatever, and then he punched it in. He didn't even get touched, okay? So there's 6 points. That was pretty much a gimme, right? And then his second touchdown came with less than 2 minutes. The game was already out of line. It meant absolutely nothing. Kind of like that Hayden Hurst touchdown the other day, who almost made my sell list. Foreshadowing. So Hayden Hurst is not there, but I'm a little skeptical about him. But yeah, going back to Drake, he's not getting the targets. He, like I said, got a gimme touchdown and then another touchdown that he got in a 69-yard run. That's where most of his yards came from on that big run with less than 2 minutes to play. So I'm just not buying it. He just doesn't look like he did last year. So I rather sell high on him and not have to worry about the headache because think about it. Before, he hadn't had a 15-point game, let alone a 20-point game. He hadn't had even 15 points the whole season. And this included games against the Carolina Panthers where he had 3 points and against the Detroit Lions where he had 7 or 8, something like that. So, if you're not getting the targets and you got to be touchdown dependent, you haven't been really efficient running the ball, then where are you going to get your points? So I rather sell high. To some people that think, this might be his turnaround or, going for the name value, the draft capital, I still think he could get you decent returns. My second guy, somebody I haven't been high on this year. He hasn't started off too bad, but again, sometimes you got to dig a little deeper, and that's Mike Evans, okay? So in 2 games without Godwin, he tore it up. He had over 100 yards, right? And, he was really efficient with his touchdowns. He's been the most touchdown-dependent receiver in the NFL, I believe. Don't quote me on that. Now, in the rest of those games, he hasn't even totaled 100 yards. So in 4 games, he has less than 100 yards. In 2 games, he has, over 100 yards each. And he's touchdown dependent. Chris Godwin is the leading receiver on that team. He's going to lead the team in targets. You got Gronk to compete with, and Brate and Godwin for red zone looks. Not to mention, obviously the running backs and Leonard Fournette's coming back. So, I would definitely be looking to sell Mike Evans because I think he could also get you some good return. Even though he's coming off a really bad game, I still think a lot of people are believers in there. He's done well for so long, but Brady doesn't really play to his strength. Michael Evans is more of like a deep ball receiver, and Brady's deep ball is not the best. So that's somebody I'd be looking to unpack. And then his teammate, Rojo. What do I look for on my sell list? I look to sell players at their absolute peak. I have a hard time believing that Ronald Jones, okay, is going to be any more valuable than he is right now. Like, people are really, really high on him. They think he's got the backfield. They think he's an RB1. They think he looks amazing, and he has looked good. But here's why I would sell. Before Leonard Fournette got injured, Ronald Jones had no more than 10 points. So for the first 3 weeks, he had like 30 points total. Since Leonard Fournette was injured, then he went off like 15, 20. He's got 3 straight games of 100 yards. Fine, cool. I get it. He's looked good. The competition hasn't been the best, but nevertheless, he's looked good. However, he still doesn't have more than 20 yards passing. Remember, the whole reason why they drafted Vaughn is because they wanted a pass catching back. Okay? So he can't catch a brick. Every once in a while, he'll catch a little screen and something, but he can't catch a cold, this guy. So now you had that with the fact that Leonard Fournette's coming back, who is a tremendous talent. Most would say more talented than Ronald Jones. Okay? And he's a better pass catcher. So why not sell Ronald Jones at his highest? He is not, I promise you, coming off a 27-point game, he is not going to be any higher than he is right now. So I would sell him, especially because I just drew a blank. but yeah, just Ronald Jones, sell him high. Oh, especially because he's a running back. That's what I wanted to say. Running backs could get you the most returns. So if you're thinking about somebody you would sell him for, I usually don't sell a running back for a receiver, okay? But it's going to be hard to sell a running back for another running back. So unless you could do like Rojo for Jonathan Taylor, let's say somebody has Jonathan Taylor, they can't afford to have him wait on the buy. Just get with just trading for Jonathan Taylor, somebody like that. But I would trade him for a receiver like Terry McLaurin, okay? I'm pretty sure you could get Terry McLaurin for Ronald Jones, which I think would be a tremendous trade. Tremendous trade. Why? Because I have Terry McLaurin on my hold list, okay? Terry McLaurin, guys, he has had no less than 7 targets, most of the time double-digit targets. He's coming off a game where he's faced James Bradbury, who's arguably been like the best corner, him and like Darius Slade, Kyle Fuller, you could toss it up who's been better with Jalen Ramsey. But he got 14 points off of James Bradbury. I think it's only upside from here. Every other game besides Ramsey, who shut him down, he had 5 points against Ramsey, but, Haskins sucks, so he's not going to do much against Ramsey, especially with Haskins as his quarterback. But he's got no lower than 11 points. So the target's going to be there. The talent's definitely there. He's got the safest floor, so I would definitely sell Rojo, transitioning to my hold, Terry McLaurin, because he's the man, arguably a top 5 talent in the National Football League at the receiver position. Now, I just saw Smitty was here. I don't know if he's still here, but his guy, I got him as a hold as well. It's Clyde Edwards-Hilar, and here's why I have Clyde Edwards-Hilar as a hold. And it really depends on, I've told you guys before on my holds whether it depends. Like, holds usually mean that I would sell this guy for the right price, but I would also buy him for the right price. So if you get, first round value for CEH, you know what I'm saying? Then I'm cool with it. Like, if you get Jonathan Taylor and Terry McLaurin or something really nice, then I'm cool with it. But for the most part, I still like CEH. And here's why. A big reason why was because of the changes they made to the offensive line, okay? They switched some players around. It showed against Buffalo. He is a pass-catching back. He gets lots of targets. Now, I do think Bell is going to limit his upside, okay? So I don't think he's going to be getting quite as much snaps, maybe a little less targets, and he could lose the goal line work. But he wasn't really getting any touchdowns anyway and was still borderline RB1, okay? So even if he goes from 8 targets to 6, maybe some games 4 or 5, in that offense, if he's the leading back, getting 60 to 65% of the snaps, that is enough. That is enough, okay? So that is enough to make him an elite RB2 with low RB1 upside. If something happens to Bell, then he could be an RB1. So I don't think you're going to get maximum value like the one I mentioned, like a Terry McLaurin, Jonathan Taylor type of deal for CEH, which is why I have him as a hold. Now, if you get a good deal, I'm cool with selling him, but for the most part, I think CEH, get out of you could hold him, okay. And then my last hold, name probably you didn't see coming, is Hunter Henry. Gotta have at least one tight end in his buy-sell hold. But I really like Hunter Henry. He's only had one game under 10 points. I love Herbert. I think it's a potent offense. He's gonna have amazing looks with teams having to worry about the running backs and Keenan Allen and Mike Williams. And he's gonna be a great red zone threat as well. Rookie quarterbacks like to lean on their tight ends. Oh, here's the kicker. His playoff schedule: Atlanta, Las Vegas, and Denver. Amazing playoff schedule. And what's been such a brutal position, you gotta hold on to Hunter Henry. If you don't got him, see if you can get him for cheap. And he's already done with his bye, so you don't need to hold a backup tight end. I mean, Hunter Henry's got an injury history, but whatever. But it's still not worth holding a backup tight end because there's like 5 good ones anyway. So with that said, if you got Hunter Henry, hold him. If you don't, buy him. You could probably still get him for cheap. I don't know. People just don't see Hunter Henry like that, but that's why I would hold him. So quick recap, guys. My buys are Josh Allen, CeeDee Lamb, and Kenny Galladay. My sells are Kenyon Drake, DeAndre Swift. I mean, not DeAndre Swift, excuse me. Kenyon Drake, Mike Evans, and Ronald Jones. And my hold is Clyde Edwards-Hilar, Terry McLaurin, and Hunter Henry. As usual, guys, if you got any questions, just comment down below. Make sure you follow me at fantasyfootballrapper on Instagram for breaking news, at IMFFrapper on Twitter. If you're interested in the premium product, remember, it's half off. $10 for the rest of the year. Email me info.fantasyfootballrapper.com, or you could also do it on my Patreon. But my Patreon is going to be like $4.99, $5 a month. You could also sponsor me, help me, get this website going, get better lighting and things like that, because I'm really trying to, bring it for you guys. So, as always, guys, much love. Appreciate all of you guys. Good luck. Peace.